Shaman's view, the vistas from the invisible world. Today I want to share with you some of the shaman's tools. The tools that we have in the physical world are to deal with the physical reality. We have shovels and picks and computers and measuring tools that measure and quantify that which we can hold and weigh and feel. But those things that we cannot see, that are not apparent to us, the invisible world, what are the tools that we use there? Today I want to share with you some of those tools that the shaman acquires in the course of her training and that become as indispensable to us as our cell phones are to us in the visible world. So to begin with, I'd like to share with you the spirit water. Spirit water is actually made, you must make it yourself. You can buy it commercially, anything that smells good. But spirit water is made with vodka or a little bit of alcohol to preserve the elements that you put in it. And then the herbs that are your medicine herbs, but they must be sweet. They have to have lavender or ylang ylang or some sweet herb that gives it a sense of incense, of blessing a place. And we use this to summon and to feed the spirit of the directions and to clear away, to dispel any illusion in our tracking. So I would use it to summon the spirit of the serpent, for example. To the winds of the south, great serpent, mother of the waters, I call on you. I summon the spirit of the serpent. This is not a symbol. This is actually a power. I'm summoning this power to be present with us. And when you go to villages in the Andes or the Amazon, they will post the guardians, the serpent, the jaguar, the anaconda, the alligator, the dolphin, the pink-bellied dolphin of the Amazon. In the north, they'll put the hummingbird, the one that drinks only from the nectar of flowers, that is such a speedy flyer and guardian of its space and its territory. And in the east, they will summon the power of the eagle or the condor and ask it to guard the village, to allow only the sweetest and the finest and the finest of energies to come into the village and to bless and to create health on everyone present. Now, if I'm tracking for a client, I use my rattle. And if you ask someone in the West what the rattle is for, they'll tell you it's a musical instrument, which of course it is. And it also is an entrainment. It's a sound entrainment tool. But for the shaman, the rattle is the earth spinning on its axis. As you use the rattle, you begin to spin the world of your client once again. Their world may be stuck. It may have come to a dead halt or a stop, or it may be spinning wrongly. You begin to spin their world in the right direction. And your world, the sound of the rattle helps you step into a heightened state of awareness, of consciousness, like the sound of the drum. And you begin to track. And as you're tracking the hidden landscape, the energetic landscape of whatever it is you're tracking, the inner truth begins to reveal itself. Not the surface truth, not the superficial reality that everybody sees, not the face that your client put on that morning when they left their home, but their true and deepest self. And then when you find something that does not belong there, you can dispel it with your Florida water. And banish that energy or that being that you may have come across, or it may be an ancestor that's attached themselves to your client, in which case you need to sever that connection. And to sever that connection, you can use one of your swords, a shaman's sword, to cut that cord that might be connecting Uncle Harvey to your patient. And Uncle Harvey died with a broken heart and addicted to alcohol, and your client has begun to drink too much or has become an alcoholic or is trying to heal from a broken heart but cannot because of this influence by this intrusive entity. Now, you can use a sword, or I personally prefer to use my feathers. So these feathers are condor feathers, and they can be used to cut. They have a very, very sharp edge in the invisible world to cut any of the toxic cords, any energies that may be attached to the person. You can cleanse them, clean them away. You could use it to balance a chakra and strengthen it. Or if you find that there's a feeding tube connected to one of the chakras, you disconnect it, you cut it, you sever that cord that may be going back to a former spouse, a former love, or maybe even someone that hurt you in a past life or that you hurt. Incredibly powerful tool, the feathers. I encourage you as a shaman to be sure that you have feathers. Owl feathers are amazing for soothing and healing and for helping you see the hidden nature of reality, that which lies beneath the surface. And then, as you deepen your work, you may want to get some specialty tools. These were gifted to me, and these are actually crystal swords. They're very long crystals that you can use to take with you when you journey into the lower world or the upper world, and that help you cut the spider webs that might be trapping you and attaching you to a particular view of the world or a view of reality. Or you may need to use it perhaps to cut a generational curse that a client of yours may be caught in and attached to. A curse that was handed down from mother to daughter or father to son. And like the Bible says, the sins of the fathers will be paid for during 7 generations. But an instrument like this, like a sword of the light, or a sword that can cut through the dark, is incredibly valuable and helpful to the shaman. So you build these tools during your training as best if you can create them yourself, gather them yourself, and power them. If you find a sword, be sure it has a dull blade. This sword has a very, very dull blade in this world, but it's a very sharp blade in the invisible world. And you never use it to hurt or to kill anything. You use it as a tool and not as a weapon. Very important distinction. Another one of the shaman's tools are the stones, the sacred stones. This stone is called, in the Quechua language, it's called the Hanak Pacha Rumi. Rumi is a stone, and Hanak Pacha is the upper world. So it's a stone from the upper world. It's a meteorite. And it's a stone that you use when you need to travel, when you need to journey, when you need to leave one facet of your life, one chapter, and begin the next chapter. You can work with one of these stones, holding it against your heart. And asking the energy of that stone that has traveled through the cosmos and come into the earth from space to help you embark on your next leg of your journey. Or you can take another meteorite and rub it against this one, and you would put a little bit of water on it, and you will end up with a red liquid that is the blood of the meteorite. That's what it's called in a mythic language. And put that in a little bit of water and drink it, and it becomes medicine. The other stones that are part of your altar are stones that come from different places in the earth, sacred sites that you remain connected to. So that this stone, which comes from one of the highest mountains in the world, from the Aconcagua, the highest mountain of the Americas, is connected to the spirit of that mountain, Aconcagua. Kawak means to see or to witness, and Akon means is the name of God. The place that you come to witness God or to be seen by God. And you can take that stone and summon the spirit of that mountain to be with you. Or if you're journeying, you can journey with a stone like this to a sacred mountain during the solstice or the equinox or the full moon and join other medicine men and women in ceremony at these sacred sites. Again, these are power objects, power tools. Another stone is the Pi stone. It's a stone that has a hole in the center. And these are found all through the Americas. They're in museums. Nobody knows what they're for. This one is from China, of course. It's a jade stone. But the ones in the Americas, they thought were weapons, but they're too fragile, they're too brittle. And what they are is that they are representations of the whole, of this hole between the worlds, this doorway between the worlds that the shaman can pass through. We use them as a Pi stone when you receive the rites of passage, the initiation rites of the Munai Ki. So everything that the shaman has is a tool and an instrument. And you need something to step into your not ordinary worldview. So once I put this shawl on, I'm in ceremony. And on the one hand, it serves to remind me that I have entered now into a different space, into a different relationship with power. And at the same time, it's a connector, connects me to the lineage through the symbology of this shroud. So it's important for you to have something that can mark the shift in states, that state shift that we go through as we enter into the sacred, into sacred space and into sacred time. Because now, as I put on my Shaman's Shawl, I'm able to track so much more easily into the past and into the future, because it helps me to step outside of ordinary time, into the kind of time that pretzels back onto itself and figure eights, and not only the kind of time that flies like an arrow that is linear. I'm able to journey back to witness an instance of trauma, of soul loss that my patient went through, and to be able to find that soul part and catch it and bring it back, coax it back, and blow it back into my client's body. One time we were in the city of Cusco, and we were having dinner with friends, including a very famous neurosurgeon, and some of the shamans. And the neurosurgeon turns to the shamans and says, well, what do you do? What do you do? And they go, well, doctor, you know, we pray and we meditate and we make the despacho offerings. And he goes, well, what do you do, doctor? He says, well, I can cut open a man's head and I can take a tumor out of their brain and I can put the bone back and sew the skin again, and that person will live. They will get well. What can you do? He said rather despairingly. And the oldest shaman turns around and says, well, doctor, you know, when someone dies and it's not their time yet, I can follow their soul all the way back to the upper world, to the final gateway to the upper world. And I can take their soul like a man catches a butterfly, and I can bring it back to them, and I can blow it back into their heart, and that person will live again. Can you do that? So these are the skills, of course, for working in this invisible realm. But the foundation tool that the shaman has, the foundation tool is his or her mesa. It's the altar. This is the altar that we build with the stones that we have earned in our healing journey. 3 stones in the south that represent the healing of our deep wounds, of our emotional wounds, or the ones that we inherited in our family. 3 stones in the west that represent our journey beyond death. 3 stones in the north, in the place of hummingbird, that are the 3 great wisdom teachings of the medicine way. And 3 stones in the east, the eagle medicine, the learning to dream the world into being. And of course, at the very center is 1 stone that is gifted to you by your teacher. So you end up with 13 stones, which in effect are a calendar. The 12 months of the solar calendar, the 13th moon, the 13 moons of the year. So we end up with a solar and a lunar calendar. But to the shamans, the calendar was not only a tool for knowing what day of the week it was was actually a way to relate to time and to be able to step outside of time into timelessness, into infinity, and within infinity to dream the world into being and then install it in the river of time itself. These are some of the shaman's tools, some of the tools that will come to you. They come to you in extraordinarily miraculous ways, surprising ways. You go, oh, whoa, look at this rattle. This is really my rattle. It's been looking for me for so long. Look at this feather that I find along the way. And now to close, I'd like to invite you to join me in a meditation, in a drumming meditation. Inhaling deeply, exhaling through your mouth. And the shaman's drum is the most ancient of the shaman's tools. Found in Siberia, North America, South America, Asia. And close your eyes for a moment, continuing to breathe deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth. And bringing your hands to your heart center. Let the heartbeat of Mother Earth, which is the rhythm of the drum, reset your heartbeat to peace, to joy, to beauty, to generosity with yourself, with others. Shamans pray with their drum, with their rattle. We meditate with our drums, with our rattles. For us, the practice is journeying beyond the limited scope of this body, of this name, of this personality, of this voice, into the timeless spaciousness of the cosmos. And these tools allow us to thrive and to engage the invisible world with creativity, with power, with joy, and to ultimately take part not only in healing, but in co-creating with spirit, in dreaming the world into being. Thank you for joining me in the Shaman's View. Walk in beauty, bring peace, bring joy to everyone who you touch. Aho.